Hello and welcome, greetings everybody. This is the Innervated episode 4. We're recording on the beautiful evening of May the 4th, Star Wars Day, so all the Star Wars fans should actually be super hyped about their favorite franchise and go dressed like stormtroopers and scare little children on the streets. But we have a lot to talk about this evening. Some big news coming into the Hearthstone scene, which we will comment on later on in the show. But first, brief introduction to our guests. First and foremost, we have Skim, who is back from the realm of real life. How are you today, buddy?
I'm doing fine. Bit tired, but I'm always up. I'm always down to talk some Hearthstone. So
You were trying to watch the Counter-Strike Face It finals, right? Last weekend.
I tried a bit, but they had issues on stream as well. So
That's second. We have the Chiv as usual, our regular guest and co-host. Dude, how are you this evening? What have you been doing last week?
A little tired. We finally finished up our adventure wing for Mechtorp's Workshop. A lot of people love that. There's actually a hashtag campaign on Bed Road right now to bring in the frenzied bloatfish into the game because people love that thing. So yeah, a lot of fun with that.
Okay, and finally, we have Logan, the Greek boy, Logan Boys, who's just recently a free agent after his contract with Refuse ended. Has nice beard, he has no hair, but he's always happy to talk about Hearthstone and put trash on some people. How are you today, buddy?
I'm fine here playing some Hearthstone, listening to you, sit on people and stuff.
Well, I'm just the host, so you do the shitting, and then my hands are clean, basically. This is the plan for this show. 'Cause I can say it was Logan who said all this shit.
Yeah, of course. Then I will fight. I won't fight the team ever.
Okay. So as usual, we'll start with a quick news roundup of the last week. The big news that was just broken out today by us. There's every indication that we might see the biggest Hearthstone league in Hearthstone league in the scene outside the World Championship. Team Archon are said to be launching $250,000 league that's scheduled for June. Actually, names like Life Coach, RDO, Shaki, Show, Firebot, Strife Crow, Colento have all been reached out to. Nothing's been confirmed yet. Nothing's been official. We know that some details might be coming next week, but until then, it's all in the sphere of sources saying that this is a very likely possibility. This weekend in Germany, we also saw the Cool It Marathon, the ladder marathon. The Sevies won after a dramatic final race versus Forsen. Some things happening at the end there with some rules, misunderstanding and whatnot. But I think overall it was one of the most refreshing pieces of content we've seen in Hearthstone for a long while actually. At the same weekend, we also saw another cool tournament idea coming to an end. It was the Archon Team Brawl, which Strifeco and Colento won together against Orange and Freaky in the finals. Finally, we have almost expectedly all 128 slots for DreamHack Summer that's coming in June, filling up in about 3 minutes since the registrations opened. So not unlike BlizzCon or the international people just spamming this refresh key for a chance to get into the tournament. Logan, you actually did get into it, right?
Yeah, I got in it. I got a confirmation that I'm in, and I'm really happy about that.
Do you know who else is in it, like from the non-players?
No, I guess everyone is in. I think even if they say it's like first sign up, first served, I believe that there is a reserved spot for people, for known people.
I think that there are like reserved spots for actually overseas teams, like North American guys that have to fly and reserve flight tickets from earlier.
Yeah, probably. I don't know really, but I believe everyone from the known player that gonna play on the tournament, he's gonna be there.
So
I doubt they're gonna let out someone known.
So basically, the risk of getting like 100 no names and underwhelming tournament is gone. We will see big names.
Yeah, and it's not like no names guys are bad. If you watch the Hearthstone scene the last like 2 months, no-name guys winning a lot.
That's certainly something that there's been a theme for this year. And wow, you're so loud in your background, just Greek people, huh? Anyways, moving on to our first topic of the month, we are actually not going to talk esports, but we're going to talk Blackrock Mountain. Now, Blackrock Mountain. Now, the cards have been released as of last week, I believe. So, guys, looking back to the expansion, what are your overall thoughts on Blackrock Mountain? Was it a good expansion? Was it a bad expansion? Is it a step in the right direction compared to GVG, compared to Naxxramas? Where do you stand on this topic? Let's start with Logan because he's a special guest and he likes to talk shit.
Well, there are some good GVG cards, but the only difference they did in meta is the Green Patron deck and the Cancer Zoo getting back. I mean, Dragon Concert was bad. There is no refined Dragon deck so far because there is no Dragon for early game, so you are vulnerable to Rush decks. And with the Race of Zoo, I mean, yeah, I didn't like the expansion. I would like better Dragons and better theme decks. Theme decks that are actually consistent and able to be played competitive.
I think the Dragon archetype might be the single most disappointing thing about the expansion, because I know that I was super hyped and super interested in playing actually Dragons because they sounded super fun. When I wrote about the expansion, I said Blackrock Mountain is the step in the right direction just because their mechanic, the Dragon mechanic, the whole things in your hand and make stuff happen was really cool and really innovative. But I've been trying several classes with Dragon decks, and I know pro players have been trying this as well, but they're getting mixed results at best.
Well, to be honest, wasn't like the theme of this expansion Dragons decks. And it's so underwhelming, I mean, seriously. And this expansion had like the most overhyped card of all time, which is not that good, with Emperor.
Okay, why are you saying Emperor is not good? Because everybody's on the hype train for Emperor.
Because Emperor is a great card, but only on specific decks, like Freeze Mates, Druid, because you can innervate it, and Green Patrol, actually in combo decks like Green Patrol and stuff. In any other deck, it's slow because it's a turn 6/5/5 body with not a battle cry or some influence on the board the moment you play it. So you can play, if you play from behind, it's a card that you will never play. So yeah, it's not that good. It's great on 3 decks, but that's all. I believe that like cards like Gank Boss, which is a class specific, and Green Patrol for Warrior, it's much more powerful.
Chiv, Skim, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, I love the Imp Gang boss. I refer to the gold version as the Imp Gang Baller just because it's just so fucking OP. But I have to agree with them. The Dragon synergy, I was hyped about it because I like dragons. They're part of the greater amount of lore in World of Warcraft. And in Mechtorks Workshop, we've had people like, oh yeah, make some dragon cards, make some dragon cards. We did. And actually, Blizzard kind of copied a few of them. And yet, the execution and how the rest of it played out, I just feel very, very underwhelmed. I've seen people try to put dragons in decks that they had no purpose of ever being in. Oil Rogue, for one. And it's just suboptimal. It's not very good. The fact of the matter is you're still going to get bent over by pretty much every aggro deck that's out there if you try playing this. And right now the meta is just not really that good for these decks. I think like the biggest takeaway that we got from this is several classes got some really cool cards. The neutrals were actually pretty decent this time. But a lot of classes really did kind of get screwed over. Emperor Thorazan, yeah, I agree. It's only good in like 3 decks. But in those 3 decks, it created such a huge gap that it's not even funny. And people have been messing around and doing some really disgusting things with it. I've even pulled off the triple combo because of him. So it's an interesting step. Do I think it's as powerful as, say, Curse of Naxxramas? Hell no. Hell no. And in all honesty, I kind of wish I hadn't paid money for this and just grinded out the gold to pay it, to be perfectly honest. I hadn't paid money for Curse and Axe versus, you know, this one, but no. I'm underwhelmed by it. Not to mention, the heroic bosses felt like casual mode to me.
Skim, you're my last hope that somebody will say something positive about Blackrock Mountain.
I mean,
I actually
yeah,
like it.
Yeah, before I get into the which cards are bad or which cards I don't, I think the design was actually pretty cool. Like there was a whole story to it, you know. I mean, if it was just about the card, they would have just made it an expansion like GVG. But no, it's an adventure. It's a solo adventure. So you were playing against bots, and I thought the whole story was cool. With like, oh, first you want to bring down Ragnaros, and then you have to bring down the dragons, who you kind of helped out. And I don't know, I thought that was kind of fun, but I agree with Chiv that it was pretty easy actually. Even heroic mode was pretty easy actually, which I think is kind of sad because I think it had a lot of potential. I don't know, to me at least it felt really easy. I don't know about you guys, but
I'm still stuck at Drakisouth, like Drakisouth.
Ah, yeah, you suck anyway.
I have video guides if you need them.
I know how to beat him, I'm just not able to do it. Like I've tried the executors with Deathwing or something like this bullshit. The cheeses tried it, not fucking working, man. I'm just not getting the cards, and you know, after 5 tries, I just want to kill my cat. It's not a fun experience for me. It kind of reminds me of the Instructor Vesuvius boss fight in Extramas. The same level of frustration for me.
Never lucky baby rage.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but as for the cards, I think it introduced a few interesting cards, not just for Constructed, but also for Arena. But yeah, I overall agree that I don't really like most of the cards. I do love Imp Gang Boss though, because it reignited my faith in Zoo. As soon as I saw the card, I knew I had to play Zoo again. And
what about cards that we thought were going to be good, but actually didn't work out as we predicted? Because I remember, you know, I'm asking this because I remember Maz's preview of the Blackrock Mountain cards when they released the majority of it, and he opened Resurrect and says this is going to be insane. I'm yet to see Resurrect in any priest deck.
I mean, the issue is that also Priest is not really a deck that's played right now. Like Priest isn't, as a class itself, is not as popular as it used to be. So
I don't understand why. I mean, Priest is the most consistent class. It loses to everyone, so it's consistent on losing.
I can't argue with that. I mean,
it's that there's consistency in it. There's some consistency in it. Chiv, you know, the same question to you.
Okay. I'm sorry, but that was the most truest statement I've ever heard. Yeah, they are probably the most consistent in losing. But cards that I actually thought were going to be like really good, most of the ones I thought were going to be really good are actually really good. I'm going to actually go to the one that I thought was going to be really crappy. It turned out to be the fucking, you know, Grand Slam most OP card ever, and that was the Grim Patron. I looked at that and was like, oh, that's going to be a casual fun card. Nobody's ever going to fucking Warrior. Always Warrior coming up with some sort of wombo combo bullshit. So I was wrong on that one. And I was kind of wrong on Dragon Consort. I thought that was going to enable Paladin and make them such a stronger class, and then I forgot Hunter exists. So
it has been the biggest problem for these Dragon Hunters, right? Like if they line up their curve perfectly, they're actually very strong, but they die so often before that. They just get wrecked by any aggro. Like not just Face Hunter. If you queue into a Mech Mage, you're also almost dead all the time. At least this is what I found, you know, testing Dragon decks.
But the one card I think that everybody undervalued was pretty much everything that Shaman's got. Shaman's a class that has a huge consistency of winning, yet it's one of the most underplayed classes out there. And they gave them 2 tools to basically make them a lot better. And people have undervalued this. And I think that's going to change. I really do.
No, I think the problem with Shaman is the randomness of Totem and Storm. I mean, seriously, it can fuck you up, some RNG. And that's why, if you see the most popular deck for Shaman, it's Mech Shaman, which is a Rush deck that will never play hero power, and they don't even have storm at their decks because they're gonna make someone consistent. And the only way to make him consistent is just not use his hero power and don't play RNG cards except Crackle, which is always 10 damage in face.
But they gave them the Fireguard Destroyer now, and even though it's still RNG, I think the shamans have been making good use of it. It looks strong, even though it can actually flop and give you just like a 4/6, which by itself is not really terrible, especially against Breeze or something.
No, it's actually pretty damn good. Even if it goes up to like the 7 point and it draws out a big game hunter, are you really upset that you lost a 4-drop to a big game hunter?
Yeah.
No, you were never upset about
It's a great
that.
card.
Yeah. You were so much happier when that comes out, and then Dr. Balance is basically left uncontested.
I mean, I think we all agree that it's a great card, but the issue is that, like, as Logan said, the issues of Shaman remain. It's too RNG heavy. Like, so many important spells or so many important cards in that class, or so many important factors like the hero power, are just RNG based, and that makes the class really difficult to play on a high consistent level. And I can't argue, like, I can completely understand if people don't want to play a Shaman right now because it's too inconsistent.
The chat is actually saying that Shaman needs a new AoE.
Yeah.
It really does.
No. He doesn't.
Oh, yes.
No. Because a good storm is like a 10-3 flame strike. I mean, 50% of the time you're gonna wipe the board with like 3 mana 2 times, and the other 50% you have one consistent AoE and one not that good. It's too much. I think the whole concept of summons should change. It's way too much RNG based. They should reduce the power of their cards, but reduce the RNG factor and eliminate the RNG factor.
All right. It's fair points. I do not like Storm exactly for the RNG factor, and I don't know if Shamans need another AoE, but I would actually prefer to see a different AoE.
But the thing is that they're never going to change Lightning Storm,
No,
because
of
this
course
has been
not.
something that has been brought up since like the beginning of Hearthstone. When we asked the developers, like, well, could you explain the logic behind having the RNG in an AoE? And the exact response was, it tells a story. Yeah, a story that basically ends with you crying like a little bitch.
Or the other person crying.
Yeah,
Crying like a
one
little
of the
bitch.
two players gonna cry. I don't know who. I have to express my saltiness about BRM because it's the third expansion that Druid got shit. Literally, Druid got shit. At the moment, it's like we play the same deck for like 2 years. Come on.
Yeah. Well, you got Thorsten, so you can play double, triple combos, right?
Yeah, but the deck remains the same concept. I mean, seriously. We need something on Druid. We need to put something on Druid. It's fucking boring to play the same class for like 2 years.
Skim, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I try to make fun of Volcanic Lumberer, but the card makes fun of itself pretty much.
Tides of Time played it in the mill deck, right? It looks super strong in this 0.1% of the cases where you can pull out, a good like Poison Seeds into Starfall or something.
No. The best combo is Poison Seed into Force of Nature. You trade his trees with your trees because they have charge, and you get a 0 mana seed that dies to a Big Game Hunter because you don't have any other Big Game Hunter targets.
See, and you're saying Druids remain the same. So much fun to be had with Druids. You should start experimenting more. Just don't stick to ramp and fast Druids. Be creative. You're the king of Druid after all.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Archon.
make an aggro Druid with spiders, leprechauns and stuff, but it doesn't work because we don't have a life tap.
No. See, you need to go Murloc. That's all there is to it.
I used to play Merloc Druid for fun, but you still need life
I
tap.
remember.
Okay, so moving away from Blackrock Mountain, it's one of the 2 main topics for today. It's Archon's 250,000 league. So this has not been officially announced. We broke the story after talking to multiple sources, which all basically said that there are strong indications this tournament is coming in June. So to summarize it, it's going to be, well, at least this is what is being planned at the moment. You know, $250,000 on the line in a league-style tournament, probably not too dissimilar to KPL or the NVIDIA Pro AM Invitational. So we're gonna have players competing over, you know, a long period of time, maybe 2 or 3 months. Again, we don't really know about details about the format just yet. But I don't think the format is the important question here. The question is, what the hell is with this prize pool? Why do we have a $250,000 in Hearthstone when the only tournament that can afford this amount of prize money is the World Championship itself? So, and you know, the news got on Reddit and people started asking questions which are very valid. And the first one is, how do you justify spending so much money on a Hearthstone tournament? What do you guys think?
Esport dirty dollars, man. Esport dirty I really don't know where they found this money. They're selling some stuff, or I don't know, really. But first of all, I don't want to call this a tournament. It's a series of show matches, because just invitational, I wouldn't give that much money to an invitational tournament.
Again, I've been hearing different things. Some people told me it's going to be pure invitational. Other people told me that open qualifiers are being considered. So
open qualifiers like Pinnacle 4.
I don't know, man. I don't know what. Hopefully,
really, I don't trust Archon on making tournaments. Sorry.
Chiv,
I have to agree with him on that. The Pinnacle 4, that had so much hate on it. It's like, oh well, we were going to invite these people anyway. Well, why did? Wait. Well, they competed, but they still got in. There was so much shadiness to that, and now here you got 250 grand. People are going to be skeptical, and I think they have a right to be skeptical. They really do.
This whole situation reminds me of 2011 StarCraft scene, where most of the tournaments was like invitational, and at some point people was getting invited due their viewership and fan base instead of their talent. At some point, people got bored of to watch the same people doing the same stuff all the time, so the game slowly lost his fan base and all that stuff. And now that the game is at its peak, I mean, StarCraft now it's at its peak. It doesn't have the fan base it used to have because people get away from it and it can't recover. I think if they continue doing so many invitational tournaments, that's the direction that Hearthstone gonna get as well.
Yeah, and in all honesty, these invitationals, they were great in the beginning to kind of drive the hype of the game. But now we're actually seeing to where when you have open invitationals, people are still, same numbers are watching this. You know, they're not so much tuning in to see their favorite celebrity playing. They're tuning in for the actual competition. All right, so another cherry-picked tournament, which this isn't a tournament. I'm sorry, it's not. A league can be a tournament, but this is not. This is like an exhibition match over several weeks. And I don't see this is going to be a good return investment on any sponsor because of it.
Skim, what do you think? Like, you come from covering an esport that's not really stranger to big prize pools. I mean, we know that money in dollar are actually big. Well, looking at the Hearthstone competition with $250,000, what are the thoughts passing through your head?
It's a huge jump considering that BlizzCon, the basically World Championships of Hearthstone, is just 100K or something.
Oh, it's 250, right?
Oh, is it?
It's 100K.
Oh wait, the winner got 100. Yeah, the winner got 100. It's still super huge, and I just guess, like, my question is, how are they gonna do things differently from any other tournament? Like, how do you justify 250K? Are you just gonna have another, say, King Win Pro League, but just, oh, guess what? This match is actually worth, 10 times more. So that's my question, because you can't just run a tournament and slap 1,000 times more money onto it and just have a better tournament. That's not how it works. You also need a better structure. You need a better format. You need an interesting format. You need a poll. And if they just run another King and Pro League, another NVIDIA, whatever it's called, is it even going to be worth it? I guess that's my big question. Is it going to have maybe LAN finals, or Do they have some sort of interesting, new, challenging format? Because otherwise, I think it's a bit of a waste of money, honestly.
Don't you think people will just tune in just to watch what the fuck is going to happen with the 250k tournament? Because I would be interested in this, not at all about the competition or the players or the rivalries.
May I add
None
something?
of this shit. Like, I just want to see what's going to happen. And I think many people will tune in for this exact reason. Like, oh wait, this is big. Like, we can dance around it all we want, but in the end, it's a big announcement. It's a big thing that's going to happen. Now, I don't know if this will flop horribly and it will be an embarrassing end to a grand idea, you know, go to the full year's Gen way, or it's going to end, you know, probably decent. But I know that I will be tuning in for this to see what's going to happen.
To be honest, I think it's a great waste of money to give $250,000 to a tournament that doesn't even qualify to give BlizzCon points because it's fucking invitational. Seriously, I mean, come on, you give $250,000.
Okay.
What? You're gonna give BlizzCon points?
Let me shoot you another question then, Logan. Like, if this wasn't an invitational, let's say if they did a 250k prize pool, right? It's all good. They do it in a league style, all good. But they pick the 16 or 24 or whatever players like DreamHack does. Would you be fine with this?
No, I believe the best way to run tournaments is like to invite 1/4 at max of and rest get from qualifiers, because there's so many good players out there. Trust me, there are players that's much better than the one you see all the time on tournaments. Like, great example is Kaka. We've been like a top player for like 2 years, and he never got the chance to show that because he never got invited. And
Yeah,
people that want just an IM qualifier getting invites for like 1 year and a half. Not pointing to someone, but just saying.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Like, if you just open the league to everybody, like, let's say you hold an open qualifiers or several of them, and then let's say if you're having a 16-man league, just in theory, you say, let's say, invite 4 people and the other 12 are all coming from like Swiss tournaments, you know, make it something actually good, qualifier, not Pinnacle 4, but, you know, make a proper qualifier, and you find these 12 worthy people that can compete for this 250k prize pool, and basically create BlizzCon Lite, right? It's the same prize pool. You have a lot of, you know, open qualifier players. You get, you know, just a pinch of invites to spice it. Would you actually be okay with this existing as compared to pure invitational? I mean, it's obviously better, but does it justify the league still? Like, does it make it more interesting? Does it make it more valid?
I think getting new people on scene on such big tournaments, it's much more interesting because people would like to see these guys, and they're gonna see sometimes they deck building skills and stuff. I want to remind you the fucking Dark Whispers at the Infinity Finals and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean,
There's so many great personalities, not only skilled players, but there are great personalities that don't have a chance to show themselves.
yeah. I mean, I agree. Like, I would want to see more qualified players, but this in turn is another risk. Like, if you get, you know, bad players, or that's a bad word.
You won't get a bad player
I mean,
out of a 9-round Swiss qualifier.
Sure. Again, as I said, this was a poor choice of words. But let's say you get unknown names, right? And then you have to broadcast these unknown names and introduce them to the community, you know, just right now. Do you actually want to do that when $250,000 is on the line? Probably not.
I don't believe that, except some specific people, rest invites pull so many viewers. If you exclude like Forsen, who is like has a fan base of like 10 million people, and Coledo, I guess, maybe Amaz as well. The rest doesn't bring so many viewers. I mean, I think the viewers would be the same if it was an open qualified tournament or invitational only. I mean, yeah, Firebird is the best player in the world, but I don't think people tune in the tournament to just watch him.
Yeah. Do you think, I'm going to ask you, Chiv and Skim, this, do you think that doing it as a long-running league, basically like KPL or NVIDIA, will help save or justify this expenditure, just because you don't have only 3 days of broadcast like some of the major tournaments are, like DreamHack or ESL or something like this, but you actually spread your investment over 2 or 3 months and have, let's say 40 days of broadcast and 40 days of viewership tuning in that can actually in the end justify this 250K.
In all honesty, it's going to really depend on how they package it, production value, and what other support hype that they have based around it. A lot of people think that you can't do a tournament with people that they've never heard of. They think that and get enough hype on it. That's a crock of shit. It all depends on how you package it. You look at outside of the esport realm. You see these kind of things happen all the time. There's the idol shows. Ain't nobody know anybody on that damn show, but yet you've got millions of people watching these people sing their hearts out for a chance at a record contract. Why is this so difficult to understand or transition over to an esport? It is possible. You make it like the grind to a dream. This is a concept that I put forward. Matter of fact, you actually know this one. And it could be done. It could be done very well. And when you look at like some of the other leagues we have, like KPL, you say what you want about KPL, but production value-wise, they're like top-notch. I'm sorry, they are. Especially considering the other league that's out there that's kind of not. So if you get good production value, then you're going to really do well. But that's not the only thing you need. You need a lot more. You have to have kind of like this whole little entity around the entity to support it. And I think if you put enough hype into it and get enough people talking about it and get enough people interested in it, you can make almost anything happen with this. I would actually much rather, instead of seeing the same 16 guys that I saw at this tournament and that tournament and that tournament, I don't really give a damn if they get 250 grand. They've already got 250 grand from everything else they've been doing. You know, it's like watching the rich get richer. It's not my cup of tea. I would much rather see the guys who are struggling and battling it out for top ladder position every single season getting a chance to make a name for themselves. That has interest to me. That gives me hope. That gives me, feeling like, hey, maybe one day I could be this guy.
Like the American
dream
of
I want to
Hearthstone.
see. Yeah, that's what I want to see. But again, I might be in the minority. Who knows? I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm just gonna immediately answer that. The point you brought out about how, like, in other aspects of life, like you brought up this idol show kind of analogy. I gotta disagree, because the way these shows succeed is because the people that you don't know, the people that you're getting to know, well, you're getting to know them. These shows succeed because not only do you see them perform, but you also see them outside of their performances. You get to know them as people. You get to follow them as people. Whereas if you run a tournament for 250K, how are you going to get to know people unless it's a LAN tournament? It's very difficult to produce this kind of stuff online. And I doubt anybody is going to put so much effort into it to produce a whole show around it to make it actually worthwhile watching, to make sure that
they could. It's called auxiliary content to support the main content. It could work.
They could, but then you turn your whole tournament into reality TV if you suddenly started doing really long, intensive, get to know video cuts and whatever. And it's also esports. You have to realize that the sponsors that are funding all of this, they're not willing to take risks, or not many are willing to take risks and say, hey, yeah, I'm going to forward to 250K, and you can, just make an open qualifier. Invite all people in. Well, for all I know, we don't have any known pro player in our tournament, but 250K, that's nothing. That's not how esports works. And most sponsors, they just want to go for the very secure path. I think most tournaments these days would prefer having purely invitationals, but just because of BlizzCon and the whole BlizzCon points, they are kind of forced to run half and half. So
yeah, I mean, sponsors are always going to be like that. That's the thing. They want to secure investment on what they're doing. They want to make sure they're getting a return on that investment, and that does screw with things so much. And I think that's one of the main limiting factors of what we could do in this esport, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, but it's always going to be like that. And I think I think it's okay to an extent because ultimately, I mean, where else are the funds going to come from, you know? So I think considering that we have to live with that, you know, it's the lesser of two evils, I guess.
Well, don't worry. I'll go play the Powerball and hit that 300 million.
Yeah. Just to put things in perspective, how much 250k are in terms of Hearthstone prize money, just small comparison for our viewers. So things that are smaller in prize pool include the LCS League of Legends 2014 season, where each split per region had 100k. So both Europe and North America combined featured a lesser prize pool for League of Legends, man this. We had Star Ladder, the recent Star Ladder in Dota, I think it had lesser price pool. I think it was 180. Correct me, Skim, if I'm wrong, but it was around did this much money. The IM World Championship of StarCraft 2, smaller prize money. The WCS Premier League, again in StarCraft 2, smaller prize money. The things with equal prize pool, I'm still actually to find, you know, a major tournament that's not like on the level of the International or DAC in Dota, or you know the World Championship for League of Legends that has such a big prize pool. So this includes like the DreamHack Winter for CS:GO.
I could name a few.
Sure, but you know, not too many, right?
In Dota, well, yeah.
In Dota. We have ESL Katowice in CS:GO, again 250. We had ESL Frankfurt in Dota. I think it's again 250, right?
Yeah, it started out with like 250. Yeah, exactly. ESL once runs 250 tournaments now. Yeah.
So all these tournaments have as much money on the line as the Archons and the other tournament, and they're all for 5v5 games. So essentially the prize money is split between 5 times more players. And these are actually tournaments that are funded by the game developers.
Yeah, which is why I initially said, like, if you run a tournament for 250,000 in an esport such as Hearthstone, where this amount of money is just completely nuts and insane, you have to have a special formula. Like, you have to have a big idea behind it. You can't just do a tournament like everybody else, honestly. And yeah, sure, people are going to tune in because, oh, I want to see how this 250k league works out. But if they suddenly realize that it's just, you know, your average other tournament, people are going to tune out again. So, I mean, I'm excited to see so much money being pumped into the scene, and I want to watch people play. But ultimately, if it's just going to be another league like Nvidia and Kinguin, it's actually going to be pretty boring, I think.
I think they should use the. Sorry, Nydra, for interrupting you, but I was following before Hearthstone a lot the StarCraft scene, and there was the problem that the very skilled players are Koreans and they have no personality, so people would lose interest on them and stuff. So they follow another formula, which is like get 2 awesome casters to host a high competitive league. A boring high competitive league to make it like interesting to the people. That people are tosses and tasteless. We can have the same with like Force and Nims or Force and someone, because Force is actually really good on casting. Because first he's a good player, so have insight, have the personality, have the fan base. I believe that making a boring usual league with super good promotion and good casting team, something to fill the breaks and stuff like that would keep people interested, and you can even waste time at breaks and stuff to give videos of new people so the audience can learn about them and be like, yeah, someday I might be like him. If I play it and practice a lot, I might be like him.
I want to raise, you know, a potential conflict of interest here that, you know, people on Reddit were also mentioning it. It was, you know, an obvious one. So Archon is organizing a team league, right? So far, so good. But then they're starting to invite Archon players. And I can tell you something that the community still remembers Pinnacle 4. And they will not forget it soon. So there was one guy on Reddit, I don't remember his name. I linked his comment on Twitter, who said that, who repeated my worry is that it's going to become a problem if Archon start favoring their players. You know, potentially, I'm not saying that this will happen, you know, 100%, but it's a damn a very good possibility because $250,000 are on the line. So when a team is hosting a tournament and they're inviting their own players, it becomes a question. It questions the validity of the tournament in the end.
Questions the ethics of it, to say the least.
Yeah.
And by the way, that guy got voted down so much that comment was like hidden. So you actually had to go. You actually had to go look for that comment now because apparently he's got like something like 20 negative votes on there.
Oh wow.
Just for making that comment.
I know he was downloaded in the start. I said this guy has a valid point. Then he was voted for a short time. So apparently they spammed him down now. It's too bad because it was a valid point.
It is a very valid point. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, people made fun of Reynad for doing similar.
No, but difference is that Archon has the Archon roster. It's like everyone there is worth an invite. Even you can even invite all of them. And nobody gives you shit about that. I mean, it's Sorans, he was like dominating for 2 months and he's still a very good player. The world champion and Xixo, who is a force like 2 years now. The roster is so good that nobody can give them shit if they invite their players.
But I mean, I'm not saying that their players are not worthy. I'm saying that it's if let's say a conflict arises, how can you justify making a proper decision, like a neutral decision, when maybe one of your guys is involved? Let's say Firebat gets in conflict with RDU. What do? Like, who judges this conflict in the end when the entire tournament is organized and admin by Archon?
For sure, not go to gamer rankings.
No, yeah, that's funny. That's funny. You're real funny because our rankings are shit. But I'm not saying about rankings. Let's say Firebat has an actual tournament conflict, in the game. Maybe the guy doesn't show up or somebody's late, something like that.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Really, that's a problem because if you are in team, you are biased. Even if you don't want to be biased, you will be. So that's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, people in the chat are saying that there needs to be hired neutral admins, and of course this is obviously the case. Like, you don't want tournament administration to come from Archon. So basically,
that's a job for Chiv. He can admin a tournament.
I mean, if they want to do a tournament,
I'll take the job. I got the experience.
Yeah, it's called this guy actually. Yeah, it's if we've learned something from the Pinnacle 4 fiasco, is that Archon guys should not be involved in administrating their own tournaments, especially when it's a 250k tournament. Even Pinnacle, which is not a big tournament, by itself, it's a 5k tournament. Even there were issues with, and people still don't forget it. Imagine what happens if you mess up a 250k tournament. So again, this is something that I see Archon need to address right off the bat. The administration of this tournament should be in completely neutral hands. Your job stops and ends with providing the prize money or securing the broadcast, maybe securing the promotion. But when it comes down to tournament administration, when it comes down to solving conflicts, when it comes down to player relations, these things must be trusted to somebody else outside the Archon organization. Skim, do you have anything to say about the potential conflict?
Yeah, no, I just agree with you guys. I think, or rather with what you just said, like, they have to have a third party involved that just solves, or like the administrate stuff. But even in the end, like, these admins still answer to Archon, so there's always going to be that issue there. So, I mean, yeah, we could talk about it all day, but the issue is always going to be there, and I think all Archon can do is just try to do their best and try to be very transparent with all these things, and also try to be very fast when there's a bit of a community outcry. Just deal with stuff early on and just be transparent about things, because the community rewards this sort of like honest approach, I guess, is what I would call it. So I think if Archon is very upfront about everything, I think the community will notice and reward it with, trust and whatever, following their games.
Yeah. What other potential pitfalls do you think there are for this tournament? Like, I feel bad actually for going on the negative landslide about this tournament because it hasn't even started and we are already pretty negative about it. But as you said, guys, we have the right to be skeptical. So let's be skeptical all the way. So what do you think can also go wrong hosting such a big investment? Chiv?
If an Archon player wins it, Reddit and the rest of the community is going to cry foul left and right, and pretty much that's a done deal for them ever doing anything again.
You think so?
It would damn near be a death nail, because nobody would ever take any other event they did seriously unless they changed dramatically what they did. All right, people don't always forget that bad thing a person does. I mean, you look at some people who've done some bad things in the past, and it always gets brought back up one way or another. There's always that one guy who reminds you of the bad shit that happened in the past, and it's going to happen here. So if, like, Firebat wins, I'm not saying he wouldn't deserve to win if he did, but people would say, oh, that's only because this. It would completely invalidate his skill. It would completely invalidate a good performance, all because of this. And that's a pitfall they need to avoid. They really do. And then sponsors are going to go, well, yeah, you guys kind of dropped the ball. We don't want to work with you no more. Because that looks bad on them, too. Seriously.
You mentioned packaging. So I guess we have to bring production. Like, you have to step up your game so much, I think, to match the price pool you're putting on the line. You cannot have a mediocre production at all. Because I remember, watching the Brawl and Pinnacle 4, and they're actually good events, but in their core, right, with good ideas, but their production was, I think, lackluster. If you compare it to KPL, you said they probably have the best production in the business right now, and it feels silly coming from me because I'm involved with the league as well, but I kind of have to repeat the sentiment because I know how these guys work, and I've seen them, put up a good production. We also seen fantastic stuff from Vigame, fantastic stuff from DreamHack, Seed Story Cup. All these tournaments have fantastic production, and when you look at Archon events, I feel at least package-wise they're a bit below. So in my eyes, they have to step up their game by quite a lot.
A bit below is actually being very, very nice of you. I'm gonna say that right now.
Let's see how many people cry in the chat that I'm a sellout and Musk has already bought me.
Yeah, right. I'm sorry. I've seen some of the stuff they did, and it got to a point where I'm sitting here going, Knox, please be home. I need you to cast this for me because I'm falling asleep. All right? That's how sad it is. I'm calling, my friends who are commentators and casters going, could you please cast this for me over Skype because I'm falling asleep and I got to watch this crap. You know how bad that is? That should speak volumes of how bad your production is. All right? I try to be fair and I try to be neutral on everybody. I give everybody a chance and then to piss me off. But seriously, when it's consistently every single damn time, I'm just... it's crap.
What are you guys
I'm not going to say which one it is, but you can figure it out.
Logan, Skim, what are you guys saying? Like, what should they be aware of?
Well, I don't necessarily agree with the fact that as soon as an Archon member wins that the tournament is going to be, like, that nobody's going to take it seriously, because I think it just depends on how it plays out. Like, if it's going to be straightforward or not, like, that's sort of like what it depends on. But overall, I think it's just pretty much making sure that you have an interesting format, that you have some sort of poll that is outside of, oh, hey, we have the top 10, like, we have the top 10 of most famous players in our tournament. Come see it, come watch us. They need something else. They need just something different, I feel. And yeah, definitely crank up the production. I think a lot of Hearthstone tournaments actually are sort of like, how many times do I see failed overlays? I mean, this shouldn't be. I mean, I'm not one person to complain about overlays much because, quite frankly, I could care less. But it's so amazing how often people just, like, how tournaments just mess it up every time, and it's so straightforward. It's not even like, it's not a fast-paced game. You know, it's not Dota, it's not CS:GO. How can you still mess it up? I just don't understand. And every time I watch tournaments, I'm just like, can you just pay a person like $10 an hour more to make this right? That's what I'm
It's one of the
always asking
simplest
myself.
things they can do, and one of the most oversighted things.
Yes.
It really is.
So this is my big concern. If you're willing to spend 250K on a prize pool, make sure that you pay maybe 10K more just to have proper production.
I agree. People value like names of the tournament, the names that are gonna play the tournament, the prize pool more than production value, which is like wrong. I think a good produced tournament with Chiv and Nydra playing gonna be worth as much as any seed tournament with Firebat and Strife and Colendo.
Are you just saying we're bad Hearthstone players just now?
No.
Good, because we're not. We're fantastic.
Yeah.
We're like
Cool.
on the top of the ladder food chain. What about...
And you've never been disqualified from a tournament.
No, never. I actually have disqualified players from
Logan.
tournaments, so I'm like on top of this bald guy here. I haven't disqualified you from Ghost Cups ever, right?
Well, no, because I
can't say
was
the
like
same.
a nice guy after Civ and Toast disqualifying from Mana Grind so many times I can't even recall how.
I was
many
disqualifying your whole team because they were a pain in my ass.
Yeah, but who was the best team? Who was winning all the shit?
I'll give you credit on that. They were the best team at the time, but you guys were just nothing but a pain in my ass, pushing every rule you possibly could.
Okay. So we can leave this quarreling for after the broadcast. What about scheduling, guys? Because I know, like, I covered KPL extensively, and I followed it extensively, and they were running into schedule problems all the time. Players cannot, they cannot make their matches. They have to reschedule. Well, it's fine, I think, for KPL, even though it still looks bad in the eyes of the viewership when you expect Firebat to show up and he doesn't, or Reina to show up and then he quits, something like this. I don't think you can do it for a tournament with this big of a prize pool. You cannot really afford to have missing matches. You can't afford having rescheduled matches. You cannot afford having Massen just decided to quit Hearthstone. You know, it's I mean,
For 250K, they can make fucking time.
yeah,
That's all I'm gonna say. That they better make the
Actually-
damn time.
you would
It's
think so.
it's the players' fault that they got like not show up at the tournament stuff. If you are invited to a league, you have to schedule to not have something else to do at that time. I mean, come on, we have leagues at esports and sports. Have you seen someone say, "Yeah, I have to go to get a beer and so I won't show up"? I think people that don't show up, except if it's something really important like some health issue or something really important, should get banned from that kind of tournaments, even if they are like the most famous and the most successful players of all time, because it's a disrespect to organization, people that throw money on you.
I love you.
First of all, now that Amaz is actually living at the Archon team house, I don't think Firebet is going to ever miss another tournament again. Second of all, I think if you just have a proper rule set and proper administration, you'll never have that issue. And I'm actually quite surprised scheduling is an issue in Hearthstone, because how many tournaments are in Hearthstone that require frequent scheduling? I mean, I've done scheduling for Dota teams, and trust me, that shit gets really complicated once you combine all the different tournaments that are running at once. And how many tournaments in Hearthstone are there that you can say, oh my god, we have a conflict of interests. I actually have NVIDIA that day and KPL the day after. That's pretty much as much as it gets, right? So,
By
in
the
my
way,
book,
NVIDIA
Yeah.
League still exists?
I think so.
Yeah,
Shots
okay.
fired.
Yeah, man, sorry, but they made a league that gives points and huge amount of money, and they have last year's BlizzCon rules. So Romanian, Portuguese, and Greek player can't play at this league because we wasn't qualified for the last BlizzCon.
I think people told me that they're not following the BlizzCon format, like the BlizzCon rules. Apparently what I was told about the NVIDIA is that it's something that NVIDIA always do for their tournaments, like they are banning these countries. Because there was apparently a World of Tanks tournament last year that had the same shit. But I still have to double check about this. But it's another topic that I think we're derailing. But okay, so I think we can bring this to a wrap. You know, the Archon topic. Obviously, we're all skeptic, and rightfully so, I think. But I guess we'll have to wait until June or whenever they announce it and whenever they launch it. I know that it's still in planning. That there's still stuff to be confirmed. Obviously, it's not like a set deal. Really strong indication that this is coming to Hearthstone. Moving on to the final topic of tonight's show. It's called Hearthstone Outside the Box, and it's inspired by the two tournaments we briefly mentioned at the start of the show, namely the Coolith Ladder Marathon and the Archon Steam Brawl. So I know you guys are bored of all the same Hearthstone all over and over again, and I know that I am too, and I watch so much that it's unreal. I actually found both these endeavors and both these projects a really nice breath of fresh air. I think I haven't been so entertained by the Coolith Marathon since I can't really even remember. Like, I was genuinely watching and having fun, and I woke up at 7 a.m. on Saturday to watch and do other business, and I was getting entertained by Forsen, playing classical music and saying fuck and cunt on stream. And sure, it's like a I don't know, it's basic level of entertainment, but I was actually having a laugh in a long time. I haven't really experienced that much fun in Hearthstone. What do you guys think about these kind of tournaments?
The problem was that they overcollapsed one with the other. So yeah, you can't win Forsen. Sorry, Archon Brawl, but you can't win Forsen because Forsen is a god. Yeah, I was so entertained that I watched all the marathon. I haven't slept at all. It was so good ideas. Especially the marathon was great. The marathon was awesome. The only problem I had with Brawl was that some teams was so much tryharding and some other was like
having
super
fun.
I mean, Gara and Rekful was like the best thing ever. Seriously.
Agreed. That's the only thing that saved that event.
Yeah.
I have to watch these games now.
Yeah, you have to watch this game. I mean,
oh God, you do.
Yeah, it's like the two tournaments with totally different format than the usual. It was being at the same time, which is awful. I mean, seriously, you can schedule that shit.
Yeah,
but Marathon was awesome. I was like drinking a shot every time Forsen was losing a star at rank 5 and was trying to stay at the same rank as him to snipe him.
Skim, how much did you watch of these events, if at all?
I didn't watch much of the Team Brawl because, as Logan said, they kind of overlap with the marathon. But I pretty much watched most of the marathon. I actually fell asleep watching the marathon, and I woke up to Forsen with classical music, swearing like, "Oh, never lucky baby." I don't know, just what Forsen says. I don't know. But
Kevin.
Yeah. Honestly, that was one of the most fun events in Hearthstone, maybe even in all of esports I've witnessed so far, just because it was so interesting. It had I love the casting lineup as well. I think they could have done a bit more, but overall I still think they did a great job. The ruling was a bit, the administration was but just it's the thought that counts, I guess, and hopefully they'll do it better next time. So I really love it when people take a concept and just go with it, and I thought it was really interesting. And honestly, this is what Hearthstone is all about, because both the Team Brawl and the Marathon recognize the fact that in Hearthstone, the success of Hearthstone right now is not necessarily the competitive aspect of it, but rather the fact that the people behind it are so intriguing. If you look at Twitch numbers, it's just amazing how many viewers these two formats pulled in, and I think that just goes back to the fact that these people are so interesting to watch and follow, and they make the game so much more interesting.
I actually saw, they were fun and all, which for me is the most important thing, but watching both, the Brawl semi and grand finals as well as a lot of the marathon, I actually found them a very good learning experience. I was watching the marathon, and obviously this is not a tournament that I can relate to because I don't really do this. Build a collection from scratch and try to go legend. But if you give it to a newcomer and who asks you, okay, what do I do? Like, I have zero money. What I do now, you can actually show him parts of the stream. Outside the fact that Forsen gets donated like 50 packs and he gets Dr. Boom and then disenchants everything to craft Tuna's Dormors or something like this. Apart from this, part, I think the marathon showed quite a lot of insight on how you can actually start, your climb and grind to legend. Especially guys like Saviz, who didn't really get a lot of pack donations. They basically showed you, okay, this is a deck you build, and you can climb the ladder easy with it. You just have to know how to play it. What do you guys think?
It was definitely informative, and I agree with you on that. Because there's always going to be like new players coming into the game who have not invested the time and money that pretty much all of us from CBT and OBT on have done. So they're always looking for some new way of getting in and not feeling overwhelmed. So that, I think, was actually a really cool thing. But I think there's a lot more stuff that they could do for like new stuff to put out there. And
yeah, sure.
I don't know. One of the things that I love is like the quote-unquote man mode or auto fill by the client. I'd like to see some competitions like that. That would be interesting. Every round you'd have to do it again and see who wins. That to me seems a little bit more fun-based, And I don't know. I'm a glutton for punishment. So
props to Reynard for Dragon Priest. I really love that deck. Seriously, he was PvE.
Can't believe he tried it though.
No, I mean, it's not like a tryhard event. They was tryharding with Zeus and mech mages and stuff, while Reynard was like, fuck that shit, I'm gonna play my Dragon and Priest.
On a scale from 1 to Priest, how consistent was that?
It was 10 out of 10 consistent. He couldn't leave rank 19. It's what I said before.
Very consistent deck, very consistent.
Yeah, Priest is very consistent on losing.
I actually liked Reynard's approach. I mean, it was obviously it's not going to get him anywhere, but at least it was a fun type of content. Obviously, watching face four mech mages or four mech shamans would have.
Do you really think that Reynard cares for that 5k?
No, of course. I don't think anybody of them cares for 5k.
Yeah, exactly. It was like
an
invited event to have fun and entertain people for 24 hours. I would feel like a clown, but it was pretty good.
Yeah. Now, speaking of the learning experience, I actually found the brawl very strong in this aspect as well. Just because I was watching, who was it, Firebat and Eversiction, right? They were playing Freeze Mage, and I'm trying to learn and main Freeze Mage again after abandoning it for several months. Seeing the player interactions and talking to each other and laying out their thoughts and their strategies, you actually see a lot of the mindset of the pro player and how moves and various plays are carried out. Because I don't think I would have thought of these Freeze Mage plays if I hadn't watched Firebat and Eversiction discuss it openly on stream. And my girlfriend is giving me a beer. How thoughtful is she? Cheers, guys.
She's just trying to get into your pants.
Yeah,
but no, you're right on that, because there are a lot of interactions that a lot of us would look at and not see, and that's probably why we're not sitting there at DreamHack, making tons of money. So that kind of information is actually really helpful to the general public of Hearthstone, and that was cool. Unfortunately, the entire event itself required me to contact a friend to basically cast it for me because I was falling asleep. So there is that.
Okay. So this brings to my next and probably final question for the show. What do you want to see in terms of outside the box Hearthstone experience? I know, Chiv, you mentioned the man modes tournaments. I know you have a lot of other ideas, but I'll leave you for last. Let's start with the sweet Asian German sugar thing that's called Skim. You're you're primarily, you know, a Dota guy, so you come from serious business esports. Go like super goofy. Tell me what you want to see in Hearthstone in terms of, you know, unorthodox entertainment.
I mean, unfortunately, I think we're a bit bound by the fact that the game client isn't really that flexible, but...
Okay, ignore that. Ignore the limitations of the game plan. Go wild.
I mean, I'm still... Yeah, I mean, go wild. My first thought would be what's it called again? I completely forgot the name. The whole King of the Arena. I mean, I think I think King of the Arena is still the best sort of like entertainment value. Again, but only if we had actually the possibility of actually having full arena mode, you know. Other than that, I think just maybe even drafting decks for your opponent, as in, well, you know what they did at the House Cup where Rachel and Froden were having this show match, like some sort of like, oh, have the worst possible deck create, like, you know, have your opponent create the worst possible deck for you, even though that show match was rigged. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, just have some fun with it. Just take, you know, just be a bit more relaxed and take the bit of relaxed approach.
Logan is a pro player and a drunkard. What do you say? Like, what is the crazy thing that you would do in Hearthstone in terms of, you know, strange formats?
It's not illegal to like get drunk on stream, right? Fortune do it all the time.
No. It's like you have to make a competition, not get drunk on stream. I mean, I'm getting drunk on stream right now.
Oh, okay, then it's okay. You can make something like super fun, like every time you hit phase, you have to drink like a shot. Is it like that? So phase hunters that do so low amount of damage, but all to the face, you have to be drunk for the second game. But if you get a Ragnar's, you don't drink at all, something like that.
This is going to be a rigged tournament for Force, and you do realize this, right?
Yeah, of course. You ban him for participating.
Okay.
You have him cast or something and let him drink every time someone drinks and stuff like that.
Knife Juggler Unleash the Hounds just took on a whole new meaning.
Exactly. Punish the hunters.
Okay, so I think like somebody has to make this happen like next month. I would watch this before the Archon team, the Archon League, sorry.
Sponsored by Jägermeister.
Sponsored by...
Oh, yeah.
Sponsored by...
the loser has to stay with the winner after a match in a room for like an hour or so alone, without cameras
holding his head.
Oh god, so we're being way too creative, I think. Like, I know that I want to see... oh god, the word escapes me. The Highlander mode. Like, this is something I want to see, and
oh, I love that mode.
Yeah, Highlander mode is really good as well.
So
actually, we have Challenge Stone. It's a nice format for people.
Yeah.
Outside the box.
Yeah, when I say Highlander, I think I need to explain. Highlander is basically a format in Magic where you can only have one copy of a card in a deck. So this is essentially...
And in Hearthstone, it's like max of 2 legendaries in the deck as well, if I remember correctly.
Okay. You know what I enjoy in Magic the Gathering when there are not like 50 people around the table? It's the commander mode, which is basically you have 100 card deck. Yeah, that's right. And again, you have a Highlander in the Highlander form. You have 100 different cards in a deck, and one general that acts as your special card. Now, this is something I want to see, like if it was possible in the client. It's Not everything from Magic can be done in Hearthstone, obviously, but at least it's a wishful thinking on my part. But yeah, it would be cool. There is something I'd like to see, and it actually is doable in the client, and I'm actually shocked that nobody's actually tried this yet. Part of the great thing about Magic the Gathering was like booster drafts. We all went to the shop, did the booster draft, little tournaments, and all that fun stuff. You could do the same thing in this client. What you do is you buy a certain amount of packs. I don't know. Somebody's going to have to figure out the math on this. It's probably going to be something like 24, some integral. Yeah, integral of 6. And whatever cards are in there, that's what you get to build your deck out of. Okay.
All right.
So limited, not a booster draft. You're talking about limited. I mean.
Yeah, it is technically a limit, but these are the only cards you could build a deck out of.
Okay. Yeah.
So that might be quite interesting, and it might be quite
Yes.
difficult.
No. That's really problematic because, I mean, various cards are like common. You can find at the decks.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean, I think like first of all, I think you have to do it with way more packs just because of the 9 classes.
Yeah. So it's probably going to be something closer to like the 60-pack.
Yeah, maybe 60 packs or something like that.
you can do it like draft, like pick 5 players and they can choose 1 card each from an opening pack and make decks out of them.
That could be really interesting. But watch it be that one player who always pulls every legendary as it comes around.
Still, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that could be interesting too. I mean, there's lots of different ways that they could actually approach this game, but it seems like people aren't willing to take that chance. They want to go with the tried true staple because it's what people know, it's what people expect. They don't want to venture out, take chances. They don't want to explore what they can actually do, and that's kind of the one thing that makes me sad about Hearthstone. It really does.
Yeah, I will have to repeat your words basically. This is why I admired Reynat when he did Lord of the Arena, because it was, you know, again, the freshest piece of content at that time. I've seen by the time so many invitationals, it was getting boring and stale and uninteresting. Then Lord of the Arena comes out and puts like 80,000 people, right, or something like viewership. Why not? I mean, it's original, it's fresh, and now we have the marathon, we have the brawl that has, like, the brawl didn't really pack numbers because, as we said, it competed with the marathon, but I think in future editions, if they schedule it better, they can pull huge numbers as well, and of course up their production. If somebody finds a way to make a booster draft or a sealed deck, as my colleague Storex writes in chat to tell us that we're Magic the Gathering plebs for not thinking about it, yeah, I would actually watch this every day. Until
I would too. I would too.
It's not even an overstatement. I love drafting. I love watching people draft. I suck at it, but I like it. It's something I would really prefer over the same invitational, number 250,076. But okay, let's wrap this show up. I'm not sure how much time we spend. Probably around an hour and a half, but overall, thank you guys for the show. I hope you really enjoyed the episode. The show is going to return again, of course, on Monday, same time, 9 p.m. CEST, which is 3 p.m. Yeah, CST, because daylight savings time. Thank you for existing for some reason. Again, 9 p.m. CST, which is 3 p.m. Eastern. Tune in. We will have more interesting topics to talk about, hopefully next Monday. But again, as closing words, anything you want to say to the camera, guys? Skim?
Was fun to be here. Thanks for having me once again, and we'll see you next week.
You can find this beautiful guy on @SkimGame.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He tweets a lot about Dota and Counter-Strike and occasionally Hearthstone. And we are secretly in love on Twitter. Or was it Fantasy who loves me? I don't know. Everybody does. Chiv, closing question.
Cheesecake height. Astakaka for the win.
Okay. Yeah, that's deep. That's deep. You can follow this guy on the Chiv 1. Because we already know there's like another The Chief guy. We're still searching for him to convince him to change his nickname, personality, and country of origin.
I'm tracking him down.
Yeah, and you do not have by any means a gun collection while tracking him down.
I refuse to respond to this comment.
Good choice, Logan. You're grinning like an idiot. But I'll just give you final words as well.
First of all, thanks for having me here. And you can follow me on Logan_HS, I think, yeah.
Yeah, it's HS. You can see it in the stream.
Yeah, I don't have the stream because it's too light, so it's too white here. So I watch it from Skype.
Yeah, it's Logan_HS.
Yes, if he watches the stream, he looks more like a serial killer.
No, seriously, I'm like cute and fluffy and stuff.
Yeah, everybody wants to hug you. So this guy is actually a free agent. So if you're a team looking to pick up a guy, this is my apology for forgetting about you earlier when in the chat when I forgot that you're totally a free agent. So this is one of the most talented guys in Hearthstone and in the Greek scene, king of the Greek scene, right? This is how you introduce yourself to the girls. So yeah, shoot him a follow. He's a nice fella, and you can find me at Nydra on Twitter. You can find my work on GhostGamers.net. The Twitter for this is GhostGamersHS. If you enjoy the content, shoot me a follow, shoot me a message. If you don't agree, do the same. Tell me I suck or something, or give me some nice words of encouragement, whatever you want. Do the same for these guys because they are awesome and they, I really can't do the show without them. So yeah, this is a wrap for this week's Innervated. It was episode 4 on May 4th. Again, Star Wars Day, talking about nothing Star Warsy in this podcast, as we should. We will be seeing you guys again next Monday. Cheers and take care.